This is Jonathan Agger here for Pro Boxing fans. We're here at the Taylor Serrano press conference, joined by Shannon Courtenay. Shannon, good to see you back. How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks.
Good.
What do you make of the press conference here? Obviously a huge fight, April 30th. What did you make of it?
No, it's nice to see a packed out room for a press conference for a women's fight. It's amazing, you know, there's new eyes on this because there's new faces on the stage. There's big names involved, and it's such a massive fight. The magnitude of this fight is huge, and I'm glad that it's getting the exposure that it deserves. And I'm glad that Katie and Amanda are getting the exposure they deserve.
Were Katie and Amanda two fighters you watched before you got into the sport at all?
Well, not before I got into sport, because I'll be honest, until I got into sport I knew nothing about boxing. I think I knew who Ricky Hatton and David Hay were. That was about it. So, yeah.
What have you made of sort of their careers? And you got Amanda Serrano, 7-weight champion. Katie is currently undisputed.
Very different careers. Amanda has hustled and worked her arse off from literally the bottom to the top without any help until Jake come along. So you've got to, whether you like him or don't, you've got to give him some serious respect for that, because he's helped achieve her dreams, basically helped make her in a nice comfortable life right now. Katie entered the sport already a huge name. She elevated women's boxing because of her name before she even became a pro. So they've had two very different entrances into boxing, like as professionals, but one's a 7-weight world champion, which in itself is such a huge achievement. And then Katie she's a legend, isn't she? Let's be honest, she's an absolute legend. So you've got to give both of them massive respect for the way they've done it.
How'd you see the fight go?
I hate saying this, especially because Eddie's looking at me quite badly right now, but I think Serrano edges it. I do. My money's on Serrano, purely because of the way that the last few fights don't feel like Katie's looked herself, and if you compare the way they both dealt with Gutierrez, Serrano looked a lot better.
If I can, I just want to touch a bit on sort of the last fight we saw you out against Jamie Mitchell. What's your sort of reflections? Obviously a difficult, I guess, couple of days leading up to the fight and the fight itself. How do you reflect on it? Well,
the fact of the matter is I'd done an entire camp with an ACL rupture and a dislocated knee. Spent 16 weeks, whatever it was, in absolute agony. Was told I couldn't postpone the fight. If I did, I was going to lose my belt regardless. So just get on with it, and that's what we did. You know, it wasn't ideal. I was in agony. I wasn't myself in the fight. You could see that. I couldn't move sideways because I didn't have an ACL. I couldn't do anything. So the whole build-up was horrible. No one knew I had this horrendous injury. You know, coming out with the ring walk, and everyone was like, "Why?" She got a massive brace around her leg. It wasn't ideal. Let's be honest. I've had the surgery, the physio and the rehab's gone fantastic, and I do believe in the rematch. I actually stopped Jamie Mitchell.
What do you learn about yourself going through a situation like that? You had obviously the Rachel Ball fight, but that was just the fight and it was a close fight. But this one, obviously, like you mentioned, the weight and then the losing the belt, the injury, and then losing the fight. What does it teach you mentally going forward?
That I'm a hell of a lot stronger than I thought I ever was. That I don't give myself enough credit for dealing with shitty situations. I dealt with it pretty well. It was hard. Kind of makes you realise. I touched on things before, but it makes you realise who is there for you and who isn't. You know, when you're a world champion and you're flying high, everyone loves you. Everyone wants to come out to party. Everyone wants to be seen with you, putting you on their Instagram. Who the hell's there for you when you're not a world champion and you've lost a fight? That's when you can see, actually, I know who's a true friend and who isn't, and I would much rather quality over quantity any day. I've got my girls, got a few close friends, and that's all I ever want. My few close friends and my family, I'm content.
And what was sort of going through your mind? Was it a different fight for yourself compared to all the other fights, knowing what was going on?
There was an inner fight before the fight, because I'm fighting with myself, fighting my own body. You know, I didn't have an ACL. I shouldn't have been able to run. Like the doctors were shocked that I could actually run, let alone sprint, let alone spar. You know, but there was so much in that camp that I couldn't do, but I was just getting on with it.
What do you think of Jamie Mitchell now? You fought her, and obviously you want the rematch at some point.
That's all I think of it. It's just a rematch waiting to happen.
And just finally, we saw a back and forth between Savannah Marshall and Claressa Shields on the weekend. What did you make of that?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Do you know why? Because Savannah's normally so quiet, and she actually opened up, and she was herself, and she was just sticking in her 2 pence. And even Claressa was a bit like, and I just love Savannah Marshall. I think she is hilarious. When you did see her true colours come out, why they call her the silent assassin, I never know, because she had a lot to say that night. No, it's good. It's good for women's boxing as well to see a little bit of needle there. Normally it's just me. I'm the only one that gets needles. So it's nice for someone else to take the burden for once.
Shannon Courtenay, thanks very much for talking to Pro Boxing fans. I think you said in the press conference you're looking to get back in May, is that correct?
We're looking at May. I've finished my rehab in 6 weeks. And then I want to go straight back into the gym, like full time, and then it'd be nice to have maybe like an 8-rounder in May, and then straight into camp for the world title rematch, get my belt back, and then who knows.
Shannon, appreciate it.